To Planet X News. It is April 9th, 2017. And I wanted to gather as many viewers as possible into this live feed because there are so many things going on right now around the world. And, you know, it's hard to sit there and make a video about all of this instead of just talking to everyone. So I think talking to you is going to be a big help. Look, ladies and gentlemen, I make a lot of observations in the course of my day, whether I am sitting at multiple computers, analyzing and researching everything under the sun, no pun intended, or just going outside and looking into the sky, taking some photographs, looking through the cheap telescope that I have. But last night, looking at the moon through this old telescope, just wanted to take a look, see if I could see the craters on the moon. And just everything looked out of whack. It just didn't look right. So anywho, we have Jupiter right behind our lovely planet Earth. And definitely this is going to impact all of us on this planet one way or another. You may not realize it because you may not be paying that close of attention as I am. But earlier today, very, very early this morning, I had a very, very long discussion with our physicist. We were on a video call. I think it was just about almost maybe 4 hours. And she was discussing with me all of the mathematics and this calculation that she was making in the recent report that she's published to me and Chris Potter. The mathematics that came with this report are pretty intriguing. I'm not a mathematician. I actually hate math, but it was about 5 pages long. So the point that I'm trying to make is, we are dealing with a very talented lady who holds 5 degrees in her field. I think that is pretty incredible. And I would probably say that 95%, maybe higher, 95% of us, we don't have 5 college degrees, masters, doctorates, PhDs, although we're all pretty intelligent. But this lady she's a big benefit to what we're trying to find out, because there were so many questions that we just couldn't answer because we didn't have anybody to turn to. We didn't have anybody to trust. And that, my dear friends, that's a big issue. Having someone to trust with these discussions, viewing data, giving you their professional opinion without lying to you. Now, if you ask these questions about what is happening within our inner solar system and with our planet, if you ask an astronomer, a professional one, I'm not talking about these amateurs, and I don't care what their education background is, but when you ask a professional astronomer, they shy away from the topic. And the same applies in all of the other fields of science, because they don't want their head on the chopping block. Now, it may be a different story for all of us that are on YouTube trying to get this information out there, trying to present you with what's happening. Yeah, that's a little bit of a different story. But if you're a professional physicist or astrophysicist, astronomer, scientist, if you come out there on this main platform and you start running your mouth and putting your education, your background on the line, well, people are going to believe you. And you're going to create one hell of a stir. And that's exactly what they don't want. Now, up to date, whether you want to believe me or not, there have been over 126 astronomers and scientists directly related with the investigations and research into Planet X, Nibiru, whatever you want to call it. Well, they're all dead. That's a fact. You can look it up. You can Google it. Maybe the information has been scrubbed from Google. But we're starting to find out a lot of other different things that are occurring out there. It's almost like that Mandela effect. I was reading 3 articles today that, I mean, I immediately had this weird Mandela effect that, we were always taught that the Earth rotates around the sun and the moon, well, it kind of just buzzes around the Earth, but it doesn't rotate itself. It doesn't spin on its own little axis. That's what I was taught. We always see one side of the moon and we're in this perfect synchronicity. Well, then I come to find today that I just had this question, decided to jump into Google and ask about the rotation of the moon. Then I come to find the first top 3 articles all discussed the exact rotation and spin of the moon itself, not the synchronicity around the Earth. About the moon itself turning, spinning on its own little axis. No matter how you want to describe it, it happens. Well, I've researched this back and forth. I've always plugged information into Google. I've never seen any of these articles before, but all of a sudden, the top 3 articles, boom, 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 there they were. So it's almost like information is being planted out there, creating this crazy Mandela effect. And I don't even believe in that, but I've been a victim of it. Earlier today, I was out. The skies were crystal clear. This thing that they have in the sky that they call the sun was blaring. The temperatures went from 34 degrees all the way to 67 in a matter of a few hours. Not a cloud in the sky, looked pretty normal. And then all of a sudden, the chemtrail planes come out. They were everywhere. And then I was about to walk into a store, and before I got out of my vehicle, there was this weird, dark cast that just came over. It looked like everything went partially dark for a fraction of a second, but I wasn't the only one who noticed it. As I was standing in the parking lot looking up into the sky, there were other people getting out of their vehicles, and they were actually doing the same thing. We started a conversation. And I asked, did you happen to see that the sky just went dark for a minute? And that's why everybody else was looking up there. So what in the hell was that? What happened at that moment? Ladies and gentlemen, there are so many things that are going on around you right now. This is your awakening. This is your wake-up call. Look, I'm not going to stand by and become a victim. There's just no way. There are U.S. troop movements heating up all over the United States. If you don't believe me, I'll tell you a good channel to watch is Dabu 7. He is always keeping track of these troop movements across the United States, here and there. And after listening to him over the last several days, man, these troops are on the move. And I don't think this has anything to do with this imminent war over in the Middle East. And ladies and gentlemen, this entire situation over there in the Middle East was planned. This was talked about by Planet X researchers. And even Gil Broussard mentioned this. He said, as soon as you see this small war in the Middle East that won't last very long, as soon as you see this, this is going to be one of the clear political signs. Well, bingo. We talked about that back in December. We talked about it again in February. And now, there it is. And what are the possibilities of, this being a whole entire complete setup situation in the Middle East again? So it's almost like we're being set up. This is like the precursor. It's a complete 100% plan. Are they going to try to cover up what's actually occurring? Well, yes, they are. They are utilizing all kinds of tactics. Earlier today, just about an hour or so ago, I started uploading some older videos that I produced all back 4 or 5 months ago. Some of them I think that are important. Some people complained, why are you re-uploading videos? Well, here's the thing. There are a lot of new subscribers to both of my channels. I don't know exactly what videos they have watched. I have over 580, close to 600 videos just on the main Nibiru channel. So bringing everybody up to speed is what I'll consider my job. Because I know you as the viewer, you don't have time and you can't distinguish who is new and who has been with me for quite a while. So just let's take that into consideration and not be so selfish. And there may have been a video that you did not see. I'm sure that you're not going to go back and watch 580 videos. If you do, hoorah. But there are some really weird things going on. You know, our earthquake activity, I have to watch what I say now because the computer systems at YT, that's going to be how I refer to YouTube from now on, because their computer systems, as it's uploading and processing when you do a video, it's actually reading and listening to everything that you say, distinguishing words and placing them into these algorithms. Therefore, your video placement goes here, goes there, blah, blah, blah. Learned a lot more about YouTube over the course of the last 72 hours. The trolls are having a beautiful time out there saying, oh, look at your views. They've gone down. People don't believe you. People aren't watching you, blah, 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 blah. Well, in fact, ladies and gentlemen, this is going rampant across the entire YouTube platform. Big problems with those two corporations, Google and YouTube. I guess they're working it out. But in the meantime, all of the algorithms that are behind, YouTube and their programming, well, that's completely out of whack. So it's harder to work at, getting this information to you when you're not getting notifications, you're getting unsubscribed from channels. Now, I mean, just the last 72 hours, all of this weird stuff has been showing up in my private YouTube feed. All of this stuff on gamers and little video games and women putting makeup on, these goofy video vlogs of some, busty blonde-haired chick with blue eyes that, looks like a freaking Barbie doll. And, she's doing YouTube videos about how to do her shadowy eye makeup. And she's sitting there getting, 3.4 million views. Well, like how is that a video recommended for me? So something is definitely all screwed up. I don't play video games. I've never watched a video game video. The gamers, I don't watch that stuff. So why all of a sudden has all of the Planet X and climate chaos and asteroids, all of the videos that I watch, all of the information, why has it disappeared from my personal YouTube feed? All of the channels that I watch and associate with, they're gone. Something I heard today, very, very disturbing. I love watching Dutch Since. I've learned so much from that man in the course of a year dealing with earthquakes and earthquake activity. I mean, they're just all over him like white on rice. Removed all of his monetization. So, all of the time that the man puts in, waking up in the middle of the night to, report on earthquakes, large earthquakes that have occurred around the globe. Fantastic in his forecasting. I've never seen anything like it. But the people at the USGS, well, they hate him. They're government funded, so they're going to troll him. Now, YT, YouTube, has these new guidelines on what you can and can't say. What do you call that? Censorship? I can't report to you, the viewer, about natural disasters. So if there's an earthquake, a very substantial earthquake, if I report it to you, my video may be demonetized, might be placed in the dumps and the depths of hell in the YouTube feeds, but all of the mainstream media, CNN, NBC, CBS, well, they could report on the same damn natural disaster. Why can't I? And the majority of the time, I think our reports here on YouTube, to you, the viewer, I think sometimes our reports are much better. So our backs are against the wall with all of this. If you don't see through all of this and see the deception, they're already holding tons of information from all of us. It's very simple. This is the time to wake up. Now listen, you don't have to go running down the street, yelling to everybody, Planet X is coming, Planet X is coming. Hey, listen, you don't even have to talk to other people about it like I've mentioned before. But you in your heart, you in your own mind, you have to awaken a little more. And I hope all of you can see what is happening on this planet. I spend anywhere from 12 to 14 hours a day, 7 days a week, analyzing and looking at all of this information. Like I said, today, me and our physicist, we spent 4 hours on a video call, going over some very, very important information in a report that, she just emailed over to me, and I'll be releasing that report sometime tomorrow. But, I have to wait on her because I want her to come on to our live stream, and I want her to explain it to everyone what's happening, because there's a lot of mathematics in it. A lot. I've never been that, great at this type of mathematics. Is far beyond my knowledge. But it just goes to show you that she knows exactly what she's doing, and her observations and her mathematics. Well, hey, you know what? If Mr. Astrophysicist over there, that the troll company hired to come on and try debunking what's happening, the guy hasn't done a bit of research. I was watching some of his videos on YouTube the other day. Nothing related to the solar system. Nothing. So anyways, we're going to be bringing you this report probably sometime tomorrow. It's going to be very, very interesting. But there's some things that I want to talk to all of you about very quickly. And these are some observations that I was making today. And what you're seeing on your screen right now is the SDO footage for yesterday and today. And no big coronal holes in the middle of the sun, although there is some weird activity going on here. But naturally, we have the big coronal hole at the bottom, the big one on the top. But what I want you to pay attention to, and this is what myself and our physicist we have discussed before, and she's very adamant about, is look at the corona. Look at this bright area around the sun. Okay? I mean, this is what is shining in the sky. And this is April of this year. Let's take a look at August of last year. Wow. Look at the brightness. Look at the extension of the corona. I'm going to flip this back and forth. Pay very close attention. April, August. April, August. Now, even though we had a nice sized little coronal hole right in the center coming right at us, a bunch of solar flares, but look at the corona and look at it today. So, ladies and gentlemen, what I'm trying to tell you is there is something in our inner solar system that is definitely affecting the sun in a very, very bad way. Now, right off the bat, there's going to be all of this talk about the grand solar minima. Okay, well, that's perfectly acceptable. However, the observations that are coming in and the data that is coming in and the help that our physicist is giving us is showing that the sun has made some type of magnetic portal connection with another object. That other object would have to be another star, a brown dwarf star. Now, are there other objects in our inner solar system associated with this brown dwarf star? Well, that possibility is very high. On a scale from 1 to 10, I would have to say that would be close to a 9.9. There's still a lot of information coming out each and every day, but now they're making it harder to get the information to you. There are a lot of people that put a lot of hours in as a full-time job to do this and get the information out to the world. You know, ladies and gentlemen, on my main Nibiru channel, I have over 51,000 subscribers. But you know what? They did something to my YouTube channel a few months ago, and then they did something again and again. And the bottom line is the 51,000 people, well, you just figure, okay, well, they're still subscribed to my channel. So why, when I put a video out there, why aren't there 51,000 people viewing it? Did you ever think of that? How can that happen? If I'm subscribed to a channel and I was subscribed to it for months, and now all of a sudden, you know, what happened to it? Ladies and gentlemen, I get the emails all the time. I got an email from a lady the other day that said she had to subscribe to my channel 4 times in a week. 4 times. Excuse me. They're definitely trying to move people away from this media source, from making the videos and getting them out to you. So we have to move away from them. We have to put some distance between them and us and figure out other ways for all of us to join up and get the information to you, discuss the information. You know, there has to be other ways. And we're working on it each and every day. But all of a sudden, when you have the rug pulled out from underneath you, well, it gets a little tough to come up with solutions overnight. There's a lot of data. There's a lot of information to look at on a day-to-day basis to make these observations. So we can fully agree that this is the sun in August. This is the sun in April. I don't care about any grand solar minima with this object that we call the sun, and we need, it's going dark. There's definitely something sucking the energy from this star. We know what it is. We're actually moving very close over the course of the next few months. We're going to be moving closer and closer to this object. There's no doubt about that. I think we're going to have a very rocky road around this globe starting within the next 2 to 3 weeks. And then moving into the month of May, in the middle of May, well, let's just say that at that point in time through the month of May, we are probably going to see a definite uptick in Earth and Sun activity. Naturally, none of it good. So you could be a naysayer all you want, but the bottom line is, even though you're a naysayer, you're still coming to my YouTube channel every single chance you get to sit there and watch the video. Make your derogatory comments and leave. But you don't leave. You stick around and you taunt and harass the people in the comment section. Because deep down inside, you believe in what you're seeing and you believe in the message that I'm delivering. You just don't have the guts to stand up for yourself and take a look at what's happening around the world. But yet, you come to my YouTube channel every single day. And you're sitting there right now. You may be in the live chat harassing people, but you're still here and you're still listening to me. And you know damn well what is occurring on this planet. And you'll be the first one to run with your tail between your legs straight to the FEMA camp. Help me, help me. And they're going to stick that little RFI, whatever the hell that chip is. They're going to stick you with that, turn you into a slave. And, well, you just send us a postcard. Let us know how they're treating you. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, let's take a quick look at the radiation levels that we've been going through over the course of the last several days. Now, a lot of you have seen the space weather reports that I do. Right now, we're looking at this very heavily shaded yellow area. And as you can see over on the chart, right over here, the yellow is elevated. On the 6th through the 7th, you see a very, very heavy ring of radiation that engulfed the entire planet right along the satellite belt, which is the dotted line. These radiation levels, ladies and gentlemen, they are steady at an increased rate. It doesn't take a rocket scientist or some YouTube astrophysicist to tell you that these levels of radiation are damaging to every living creature on the face of this planet. There's nothing that the global elite can do to prevent this. Should they be warning people? Yes, they should. I believe when you watch your local weather, that your weatherman should be dedicating, 3 or 4 minutes to what's happening around our globe. Because the majority of the time, these meteorologists, they're wrong with the weather anyways. They can't predict it because it's so chaotic. But don't you think that you should know that there are major increases in radiation that have enveloped your planet that you live on? Don't you think that you, as a human being, have the right to know that? Do you have the time to run to a website, look up the information like I do every single day, analyze these computer models from NASA, the JPL, the European Space Agency? I mean, do you have the time to go and do all of that? Probably not. You're all probably very busy people. But in the course of my day, this is what I'm doing. I'm like developing lower back pain just from, sitting in a chair at a computer for 12 to 14 hours a day. Because why? I can't give you a specific answer, but I am dedicated to digging and finding out as much as I can, because I know deep down inside of me what I'm looking at and what I've seen over the years, and all of the information that I have researched and investigated is now telling me that this is all correct. This is all happening. If you don't believe me, don't come back to this channel. You go ahead and take your risks out there without knowing anything. As I've said before, I will say it again, knowledge is power. So the more you know about what's going on, the better chances you have. So as you can see, radiation is enveloping our planet. Once again, this has been something that's been going on nonstop. Earthquake activity. Boom. Look at that. Ladies and gentlemen, what you're looking at is our planet over the last 7 days. If you would look at this map, and I didn't tell you that the earthquake information that you're looking at right now would look like something that was over like a year or a 5 or a 10-year period. But it's not. This is the last 7 days of earthquake activity on this planet. And you're going to find this quite alarming. This is just the USGS. There are multiple other agencies, and the earthquakes are not appearing on this map. They'll appear on the European agency. There's a whole bunch of them. And they all have different data. But this is just showing you the last 7 days. Hey, let's go over here. You see where my cursor is? Look, 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 look. Can you see the state of California? Where is it? You can't even see the entire state because it's completely enveloped by all of this earthquake activity. Some of it minor, some of it picking up in magnitude. Weird occurrences with earthquakes now. Let's just go take a look at some of these weird occurrences. Right over here in Kansas, multiple earthquakes. Right here on the New Madrid fault line, right there. Atlanta, Georgia. New Hampshire, right up here. New Hampshire. I'll repeat that. New Hampshire. Earthquakes. We could see the earthquake activity around the big caldera region. What do they call that? Yellowstone. Something that would what? Wipe the entire United States off the map? Yeah. Okay. All righty then. State of Washington, right over here. What do they refer to that? Oh, the Cascadia. Ha. Well, all righty then. Poor little Mexico. This whole entire region along this fault line, you see this fault line, ladies and gentlemen, this red line? Well, the USGS is not going to report too much on what's happening here, but let's just switch over here real quick. The Mexican Seismology Office, well, they report on it. Let's just take a look at the last 3 days. Look at my cursor. These are all of the earthquakes on that fault over the last 72 hours. Look over here, 4.2, 3.4, 4.2, 4.1. Yeah, 4.7. And you know what? We don't know if these are downgraded like they do over here at our trusty friends at the USGS who downgrade the earthquakes. Let's take a look at the Caribbean. Right here on this fault line. Ladies and gentlemen, they had an earthquake in the Cayman Islands. I used to visit the Cayman Islands all the time on business, all the time. I never heard of any type of earthquake activity there, ever. Ever. Look at the region. You can't even see the country because of the amount of earthquakes that are occurring. And taking a look at the earthquake map, I'm starting to notice that more and more of these earthquakes are occurring directly on fault lines, naturally. But then how do you account for the earthquakes in New Hampshire and Kansas and Atlanta and Georgia? Come on now. Let's take a look at the beautiful state of Alaska. Well, we could see a clear pattern and very large swarming, and then we have earthquake activity outreaching from the big swarm of earthquakes here. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the last 7 days. Not a month, not 6 months, not a year. This is the last 7 days. Looking over here, more of the Ring of Fire. They're always under threat in the Ring of Fire. But ladies and gentlemen, over the course of the last several days, there have been some very, very deep earthquakes in the Southern Hemisphere. I'm talking historically deep. You can't even imagine the depths of where this rumbling is coming from. These deep earthquakes are a precursor to what's going to occur. The poor little country of New Zealand. I mean, this is like living in a mini California, but on a bigger scale, because the earthquakes they have in New Zealand are of a higher magnitude and with a greater frequency. And plus, being a small island country, any threat of an earthquake out in the ocean, well, it's going to cause a tsunami. They had a few earthquakes in Australia the week before. Just kind of odd. One here, one here, one here. But they don't appear on this USGS map. And then I was playing around today looking at my earthquake 3D tracker, the one that Dutch Since uses. And I just decided, okay, let me pull this up and let me see what's going on around the world here, and let me see what I could identify. And lo and behold, started seeing earthquakes that were in the North Pole region. They're no longer listed. And a whole bunch of earthquakes that were in the southern region close to the Antarctic. They disappeared. Where'd they go? Did they suddenly just make a mistake? The earthquakes that have occurred in Africa are very alarming. These earthquakes are in Botswana. So I'm just going to turn this all the way up, and we've had 5 earthquakes between Botswana and Johannesburg. And ladies and gentlemen, this is not an earthquake zone. This is considered a very stable piece of land. All of these earthquakes have been downgraded also. We found that out. We figured that out. Then right below, you have an earthquake here, 4.9. You have a 5.2 over here, multiple earthquakes over here. And they just keep on rocking the earth left and right. The Mediterranean, Italy, Greece, Turkey, so many earthquakes, their countries disappear under the red dots. Oh, but what? Some people think that's normal. There's nothing wrong with that. Here, let's just decrease this. Look at the stacks of earthquakes. And ladies and gentlemen, this isn't all of the data. This is just a small amount of it. It looks like a freaking pincushion. But yet there are people out there that want you to think that this is normal. Everything is normal. Don't worry about anything. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to pay very close attention to this light blue line that runs all the way down here. This is the Atlantic, Mid-Atlantic fault. This basically splits us apart from Africa, Europe, and our side over here, the United States, South America. There have been multiple earthquakes along this fault, which is very dangerous. Very dangerous. The earthquakes that could occur here would be absolutely devastating, but they're not appearing. Sometimes they appear, but it seems they are kind of erased after a short while. They disappear. Wonder where they go. So the bottom line is that things are getting very, very active as far as the earthquake activity goes. There's no doubt about it. It's going to get probably worse. So once again, heed the warning. If you live in any of these areas where you have earthquake activity, at least get yourself prepared. Get yourself one of these plastic bins. They sell them at Walmart or any other department store. Wherever you get it, you get it. Fill that thing up with non-perishable food items, some bottled water, a medical emergency first aid kit, some spare clothes, socks, underwear, warm clothing, whatever you feel you need, put it together in your head. Put that bin away, put it in your garage, put it in your basement, put it somewhere where if you have to evacuate, you can take that bin, your bug out bin, put it in your car, and leave. Important papers, I would definitely go buy a little lockbox. Put those important papers, the deed to your house, wills, life insurance, whatever your personal paperwork entails. If you can put these objects in this lockbox and take it with you, then so be it. I've done that. In the course of an emergency, you don't have a lot of time to be thinking and running around and trying to find all of these objects while all hell is breaking loose. And all hell is breaking loose. These crazies in the governments, they're all trying to go to war, trying to annihilate each other. We have serious economical issues brewing right now around the world. We have climate chaos and weather-related issues that are off the chain, and they're going to get worse, and they're going to continue. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not an overnight event where this planet just flies by the Earth, rumbles things, and then just disappears. This is something that occurs in stages over time, and then you get to the pinnacle where it's too late. And as they say, the shit hit the fan. So you don't want to be stuck in one of these situations, these emergency situations, because I'll be quite frank with you, at any of these points in time, you don't know who's going to help you. You may be stuck in one of these situations where it's every man for himself, because you know how ignorant people can be. But then there are still those loving people out there that would give you the shirt off their back, the last piece of food, or the last bottled water, just to help you. Those are the types of people that have joined my channel. And then, there are these ignorant ones that come in and spew the hatred and try to change your mind and try to trick you into believing that there's nothing wrong, when in fact, the earth is shaking under your feet and you don't even know it. And just because you can't see it or you can't feel it doesn't mean that that threat is not there. It's there. We've seen the big changes. They're coming day after day. There's never a dull moment. I saw one of these trolls making a stupid comment. They make this comment from time to time because they're pretty stupid. They don't have much to say other than the scripted crap that they're issued in their handbook to read off. But they say, oh, I see that, this channel has run out of, new content. Look, they're reaching. No, there's plenty of content. There's plenty of things going on around the world. But now YouTube seems to make it, a little harder to get you the information, talk to you about the information, because, okay, we're talking about earthquakes, we're talking about flooding, we're talking about natural disasters. Well, now that's like one of their new rules. But yet the news stations, fake news, CNN, CBS, all of them, well, they're the real fake news, but they don't even talk to you about these subjects. Do they care if an entire village in Colombia was wiped out by a landslide that killed a bunch of people and destroyed an entire town? No, you'll probably not hear about it. Did you hear about the earthquakes in Botswana, South Africa? 5 earthquakes in a matter of a few days. Did you hear anything about that? No. Do you hear about all the catastrophic flooding that is occurring in South America and people are dying? Did you hear about all the catastrophic flooding in Indonesia? People being washed away down the city streets, dying, losing their lives. Oh, but that's not going to pay the bills at mainstream media. Now, they have to report some things that are super catastrophic, but mainly all you hear is this political mumbo jumbo. They're going to keep your ears tuned to that garbage. You know, the folks down in Australia just went through an absolutely cataclysmic cyclone, torrential rains, flooding, people losing their homes, total devastation in that region of Australia. It should have been on the news around the world every minute of the day, but it wasn't. But when we had Hurricane Katrina in the United States, Hurricane Andrew, Hurricane Gilbert, yeah, they were all over it. So, ladies and gentlemen, there are people, our brothers and sisters from other countries, that are suffering terribly. Do you care? Maybe, maybe not. I do. That's why I report on this information. That's why I continue each and every day to dig, to show you what is really happening around this globe, this little blue planet that we live on, our little species of human being. You know, ladies and gentlemen, they're already hammering other channels on YouTube. Almost every one of them. And there are the individuals out there that just love this. They think, oh, these channels are just going to go away. We're doing our government duty by seeing to it that we squash them. Well, they ain't squashing nothing. If anything, they're going to be the one that gets, squashed. Some of us are moving to other platforms. Some of us will continue to use YouTube as much as possible. Now, I went ahead and I opened up, excuse me, a radio station, a radio channel on Blog Talk Radio. You know, a good friend of mine in the radio business told me I should have did this a long time ago on iHeartRadio. I never felt that I was a radio announcer, a radio talk show host. But after examining how this works, I think it's going to be a great idea. I named it X Factor Radio because that's what we're looking at all the time. We're looking at that X Factor. I opened up the station today. It is live. It is set and ready to go. This is going to be a better way for all of us to interact with each other a little more personally, because now with my radio channel, they give me a call-in telephone number for guests, and they also give me a telephone number for the listeners to call in if you have a question. There's also a live chat. And guess what? It's not censored. We can talk about whatever we want, when we want. It's almost the same as YouTube. All of the radio broadcasts are archived. You can come back to this page. You can listen to them. What I'm going to do is, after the radio broadcast is over, I have the ability to copy it and place it into a video format and upload it to YouTube. And there's a lot of people that have been doing this for years. Just never considered myself to be a radio host. But that's one of the directions that we're going to be going here within the next several days. The channel is up and running. It's up and running. The link is in the description box under the videos. And it is www.blogtalkradio.com/xfactorradio. I have to practice my radio voice. But I'm going to be doing one 30-minute broadcast, probably in the morning. Then I'll be doing a 1-hour show. in the very late afternoon. I'm not sure about the actual time, but this is also going to give me an opportunity to bring on some guests. A lot of people out there that I've been wanting to talk to, and this will give us a great platform to do that. And at the same time, you'll be able to call in and possibly ask questions of me, our guest. So I think it's going to be a better interaction for all of us. If you happen to be cruising down the road and you have Bluetooth technology in your cell phone and your vehicle, well, all you have to do is tune right in, and you could either listen to the broadcast as an archived video, or you can listen to it live. Don't worry about missing anything because everything is saved. We do have the ability on this radio channel to show slideshows of pictures and things of that nature. So it's almost like, live streaming on YouTube. But we don't have to worry about a lot of those factors, the X factors on YouTube. Here, we could do our own thing. They give me a really, really nice platform to do this. So I hope all of you look forward to it. I'm actually looking forward to having a lot of you, the subscribers, the viewers, on this radio station. I only communicate with you through email and the occasional comment section. But now we'll be able to hear each other's voice, like two human beings should do, communicating with each other. It's going to be a great additive to the Nibiru channel and Planet X News. I believe YouTube is just going to make it harder and harder and harder to survive on their platform if you do not play video games and do videos about eye makeup, cosmetics, weird stuff. So on this radio channel, you're going to see a follow button, this big pink button right over here. Follow my cursor. I'm whipping around it. There's a link for this Blog Talk Radio in the description box under my video. Take a few minutes, click on the link, go to this page, click the follow button, and then let's see what happens here. You click this. Oops, I'm already following it. So once you follow it, I believe it asks you, you can register by clicking on registering with Facebook or Twitter. And then you'll be notified whenever there are broadcasts. I have that notification set right now for, I think, 30 minutes. I'm going to be changing that. You could go down here. You could make comments. You could already see people have made some comments already that have already jumped on board, that are going to be listening, that are going to be interacting with us. I believe this will also allow you to set your email to get an email notification. This will be announced on our Planet X Facebook page, our Twitter, and also Google+. But again, ladies and gentlemen, if you happen to miss the radio broadcast, they will be uploaded to both of my YouTube channels. So don't worry, you're not going to miss it. But this gives us a little bit more control of what has just been taken away. So if you could just do me a favor, when you're finished watching this video, go into the description box and click on that link. And then come over here, click on follow, set these notifications up, get in here, interact with us. And I think this is going to be a big, big plus for getting some information out there. No longer are we going to be under the thumbnail of the big corporations that want to silence you by literally stealing from you. You sign a contract, a partnership contract with YouTube and Google whenever you decide to jump on and make videos and allow them to show advertising on your videos. Well, they take all the money. Out of $1, you're lucky if you see maybe anywhere from a penny to, I don't know, maybe about 14 or 15 cents. So you really, really do have to, get a lot of views to make a lot of money. Basically, everything that my channel has produced over the course of the year, keeps the lights on. And, I'm not going on any vacations to, Barbados. I'm not buying new cars or furniture. I haven't bought myself anything for, I think, over a year. But what it does is it allows you to dedicate all of this time as a full-time job, digging and researching and bringing you this information. The X Factor radio show is going to be fantastic. Spread the word. After this video, get in here, click that follow button, set yourself up to get the notifications and join in. And believe me, when I say you're going to be on this show with me, you, the viewers, you, the subscribers, you are going to have the opportunity to get on here and tell me in your own voice what you saw, what you experienced, and what your thoughts are. This is going to be fantastic. I'm really, really looking forward to kicking this off. We need to start reaching more and more people without being censored and without somebody, throwing that greasy, filthy monkey wrench into our plan. And that's what the big corporations have done. They played the bad guy in place of the government. And they're going to keep on turning that wrench and tightening the grip and choking you off. Trust me when I tell you that is exactly what's happening. So, ladies and gentlemen, get in there, start following that radio station that I have set up. Be part of it. We're all in this together. That much is for sure. I also want to thank every single one of you that have sent in donations to support this YouTube channel and now this radio channel. The radio channel does come with some fees that today, as I was setting it up, I had to pay for. Started off with a little trial version to set things up, but now I have to upgrade all of this to get to the level where I get the telephone numbers, I get the live chat, I get everything. Basically like a live radio studio. It's going to be billed monthly, but I'll take care of it. But I want to thank each and every one of you that has made a contribution to this YouTube channel, to this cause. It's a very, very nice lady that sent in a very sizable contribution today. She knows who she is. I don't want to blow her name out there, but she knows exactly who she is. I wanted to say to you personally, thank you very, very much. The contribution that you made today allowed the radio station to be born today. That was a beautiful thing. I had another gentleman, I think he was from the UK. He sent me $1. Said, I wish I could send you more, but maybe this is enough to buy you a cup of coffee. He was sincere. He wasn't joking. It made me smile, something I don't do very often anymore. Gentleman out there who's a truck driver, he knows who he is. If he's listening to me now, you know who you are, buddy. I love you, man. This guy's traveling across country, bringing the goods that we need in stores, whether I don't know what he's delivering, but dedicates his life to being on the road. Took the time to dig in and support this cause. Greatly appreciated. Every single individual that has stepped up to the plate, gone down into the description box under the video, clicked on the PayPal link, and sent me a message and said, hey, listen, I want to support you. If this is what it takes, the big guy against the little guy, hey, I'm gonna support you. And you're able to send a little message with, your contribution. And a few of them, I'm going to be very honest. The sincerity in the message, I got a little lump in my throat there on a couple of these messages. Very beautiful thoughts from very beautiful people. So be one of these beautiful people. Watch my back. Protect me as I'm trying my best to protect all of us. Together, we're unstoppable. Time to band together in these numbers. There's just no other way around it. The love and support from all of you towards me, it's a little overwhelming. And reading your emails and your thoughts, again, is very overwhelming, very touching. I said it before, I'll say it again. I wish there was one point in time where we could all come together, in like a big, gigantic picnic barbecue. We'd need a stadium, a big stadium, to come together. That's how many of us have joined in. Over 60-some thousand of us already. But we do need to grow. We do need to bring more people and wake them up. This is the awakening, ladies and gentlemen. This is it. They're out there talking about this Antichrist and the arrival of who this individual is. I don't even like to think of the devil, Satan, these Luciferians. I try not to pay too much attention to it because there are some very important things occurring around the world that we need to pay very close attention to. But I guess the arrival of the Antichrist is also very important. Whoever he is. And I hope when they do identify him for sure, that somebody just kicks him right in the balls. Takes him out. But once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for all of your contributions, all of your support. And once again, get down there into the description box, click on the Blog Talk Radio link, get over there to the channel and click on the follow button. Start following now, because probably within the next 3 to 5 days, we're going to begin our multiple broadcasts each and every day, 7 days a week. This is Scott from Planet X News on our live stream. Thank you for watching. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Planet X News. It is April 9th, 2017. And I wanted to gather as many viewers as possible into this live feed because there are so many things going on right now around the world. And, it's hard to sit there and make a video about all of this instead of just talking to everyone. So I think talking to you is going to be a big help. Look, ladies and gentlemen, I make a lot of observations in the course of my day, whether I am sitting at multiple computers, analyzing and researching everything under the sun, no pun intended, or just going outside and looking into the sky, taking some photographs, looking through the cheap telescope that I have. But last night, looking at the moon through this old telescope, just wanted to take a look, see if I could see the craters on the moon. And just everything looked out of whack. It just didn't look right. So anywho, we have Jupiter right behind our lovely planet Earth. And definitely this is going to impact all of us on this planet one way or another. You may not realize it because you may not be paying that close of attention as I am. But earlier today, very, very early this morning, I had a very, very long discussion with our physicist. We were on a video call. I think it was just about almost maybe 4 hours. And she was discussing with me all of the mathematics and this calculation that she was making in the recent report that she's published to me and Chris Potter. The mathematics that came with this report are pretty intriguing. I'm not a mathematician. I actually hate math, but it was about 5 pages long. So the point that I'm trying to make is, we are dealing with a very talented lady who holds 5 degrees in her field. I think that is pretty incredible. And I would probably say that 95%, maybe higher, 95% of us, we don't have 5 college degrees, masters, doctorates, PhDs, although we're all pretty intelligent. But this lady she's a big benefit to what we're trying to find out, because there were so many questions that we just couldn't answer because we didn't have anybody to turn to. We didn't have anybody to trust. And that, my dear friends, that's a big issue. Having someone to trust with these discussions, viewing data, giving you their professional opinion without lying to you. Now, if you ask these questions about what is happening within our inner solar system and with our planet, if you ask an astronomer, a professional one, I'm not talking about these amateurs, and I don't care what their education background is, but when you ask a professional astronomer, they shy away from the topic. And the same applies in all of the other fields of science, because they don't want their head on the chopping block. Now, it may be a different story for all of us that are on YouTube trying to get this information out there, trying to present you with what's happening. Yeah, that's a little bit of a different story. But if you're a professional physicist or astrophysicist, astronomer, scientist, if you come out there on this main platform and you start running your mouth and putting your education, your background on the line, well, people are going to believe you. And you're going to create one hell of a stir. And that's exactly what they don't want. Now, up to date, whether you want to believe me or not, there have been over 126 astronomers and scientists directly related with the investigations and research into Planet X, Nibiru, whatever you want to call it. Well, they're all dead. That's a fact. You can look it up. You can Google it. Maybe the information has been scrubbed from Google. But we're starting to find out a lot of other different things that are occurring out there. It's almost like that Mandela effect. I was reading 3 articles today that, I immediately had this weird Mandela effect that, we were always taught that the Earth rotates around the sun and the moon, well, it kind of just buzzes around the Earth, but it doesn't rotate itself. It doesn't spin on its own little axis. That's what I was taught. We always see one side of the moon and we're in this perfect synchronicity. Well, then I come to find today that I just had this question, decided to jump into Google and ask about the rotation of the moon. Then I come to find the first top 3 articles all discussed the exact rotation and spin of the moon itself, not the synchronicity around the Earth. About the moon itself turning, spinning on its own little axis. No matter how you want to describe it, it happens. While I've researched this back and forth, I've always plugged information into Google. I've never seen any of these articles before, but all of a sudden, the top 3 articles, boom, 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 there they were. So it's almost like information's being planted out there, creating this crazy Mandela effect. And I don't even believe in that, but I've been a victim of it. Earlier today, I was out. The skies were crystal clear. This thing that they have in the sky that they call the sun was blaring. The temperatures went from 34 degrees all the way to 67 in a matter of a few hours. Not a cloud in the sky, looked pretty normal. And then all of a sudden, the chemtrail planes come out. They were everywhere. And then I was about to walk into a store, and before I got out of my vehicle, there was this weird, dark cast that just came over. It looked like everything went partially dark for a fraction of a second, but I wasn't the only one who noticed it. As I was standing in the parking lot looking up into the sky, there were other people getting out of their vehicles, and they were actually doing the same thing. We started a conversation, and I asked, did you happen to see that the sky just went dark for a minute? And that's why everybody else was looking up there. So what in the hell was that? What happened at that moment? You know, ladies and gentlemen, there are so many things that are going on around you right now. This is your awakening. This is your wake-up call. Look, I'm not going to stand by and become a victim. There's just no way. There are U.S. troop movements heating up all over the United States. If you don't believe me, I'll tell you a good channel to watch is Dabu7. He is always keeping track of these troop movements across the United States, here and there. And after listening to him over the last several days, man, these troops are on the move. And I don't think this has anything to do with this imminent war over in the Middle East. And ladies and gentlemen, this entire situation over there in the Middle East was planned. This was talked about by Planet X researchers. And even Gil Broussard mentioned this. He said, as soon as you see this small war in the Middle East that won't last very long, as soon as you see this, this is going to be one of the clear political signs. Well, bingo. We talked about that back in December. We talked about it again in February. And now, there it is. And what are the possibilities of, this being